Hi friends, so you've been working really hard on these value desserts. This project was inspired by the artist Wayne Thiebaud, and we've been working the last couple weeks to draw our dessert and then add value to make it look 3D, and then today we're going to be adding color. So when we're adding color, I want you to think about what we did when we used the value scale. Similarly, you could do the same thing with your crayon. So I could color lightly for 2, push down a little harder for 3, push down even harder for 4, push down even harder for 5, and then push down really hard for 6. I could do the same thing with my crayon. So when I'm adding color to my dessert, I want you to do the same thing with your crayon when you add value. You're pushing down hard in the spots that have the shading or shadows, and you're pushing very lightly wherever the light hits your dessert. If it helps, please look at the PowerPoint for ideas of how these desserts are being used for value. There was a couple examples on the PowerPoint that are already colored, and that might help you color your own desserts. So if I'm looking at these cupcakes, we practiced the shadow with our pencil, and now we're adding the color. So I could just take my crayon, and I'm going to outline here what was already drawn. Oops, messed that up a little bit. That's okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I am thinking about the value scale when I'm drawing. So I'm going to push down pretty hard right here. This is my 5 or 6. I'm going to push down a little bit lighter, just a little bit, and then a little bit lighter, a little bit lighter. And now I'm tickling the page. Okay, so we're adding value to our cupcake. Now you could add, maybe this is the plate. I could add the shadow. If it helps, you can even use black to color on top of the crayon, especially in maybe at the 6 if you want to add a little bit more value to your desserts. You could always add a little black where you think that it needs it, right? Ooh, I like that right there on the frosting, maybe underneath the cherry. Oh yeah, I like it. Okay. Now, another thing to think about is those complementary colors. What colors pop when they're next to each other? So we talked about yellow and purple, red and green, orange and yellow. So I want you to think about that. Another thing, let's say if you're like, oh, I think I colored too dark, you could always go back with an eraser and try to add some highlights. So maybe I'm going to go back over here, add a little highlight. Okay? Beautiful. So on this picture, let's say if we had a cake, so I would keep going, and then you could just color the table or background normal. So here's my example that I did. So let's say if I had another cake. If you want to erase your numbers, you can, because we don't really need those. So let's say if I had a purple cake, it might be easiest to just color it all at once, lightly, and then go back with your shading. So I might color it all at once, lightly. Okay, this would be really light. And now I'm going to go a little darker around the edge. And I smooth that out. Beautiful. This part would be dark. It's like shaded on to the next layer. Okay, I could fill in this again. Lightly color. Okay. So if that helps, maybe you're coloring it all at once and then going back. So barely tickling the page, and you could always go back and use the eraser if you need it. And now I want it a little darker on the edge. A little darker around the shadow. Right? Dark over here. Dark right here. Maybe I'm even using black around the shadow area. Okay, so go slow. Feel free to look at the, ooh, whoa, zoomy. That's funny. All right, you could even look at those pictures to help you find out maybe what it would look like with value. And I'm so excited to see your work. So I just kind of go slow. I color it all, maybe one color, and then I'm going back and pushing hard in those spots. Remember, light to dark, dark to light. Think about where your light source is, and then you can even add those shadows, like I said, with black for blending. That would look really nice. Maybe you're adding just a tint of complementary colors, so then maybe this frosting is going to be yellow, and that's going to really pop. All right? I'm so excited to see your work. I'm very impressed so far with your drawings, so I can't wait to see it with a little bit of color. Have fun.